Okay, so episode 2 of The Vampire Lestat just came out, and I am going to talk about it because that's what I'm here for. I'm assuming that's what you're here for, but I don't know. I don't know you. Okay, two quick disclaimers before we dive into this recap, review, unfiltered opinions, unasked for opinions of The Vampire Lestat. One, I have read the first three books, Queen of the Damned, The Vampire Lestat, and Interview with the Vampire. I'm not like super into the books. I only listened on Audible, so light spoilers for those ahead, maybe. Major spoilers for the television show, obviously. Two, if you or your loved one works for AMC or the show, or knows anyone associated with the show in any way, just know that these potentially negative opinions are not my own. They are my evil twin who is holding me hostage off camera. Also, two things I forgot to mention with episode one. One, I'm so happy Sam is back. He was my favorite Coven member. I thought he was so funny. That German throwaway line was so good. Yeah, I liked him. I like the character. I'm glad he's back. I'm not sure how I feel about him being a DJ, but that's neither here or there. Uh, Second thing is the auction. No one really mentioned how it was taking place in one. I think you won one. I don't know. I went to public school, but yeah, it's not taking place in American dollars, and I'm like, did Lestat end American hegemony with like the petrodollar? Because like if he did, king. And with that, let's get started. I watched the episode twice. First time all the way through, undistracted. Second time a little bit tipsy and with my handy dandy notepad to give all of my opinions. It's mostly chronological, but yeah. So episode 2 opens with Lestat's time in Offan. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know. I only took 1 year of French. Yeah, so we see like the family dynamics. And I I thought it was fun how like they were like all of his brothers and the dad were just like disgusting like swamp creatures, like just hideous through and through. Yeah, it was like trailer trash dynamics, like it felt very John Waters to me. And it was also kind of stressful, like I was, yeah, it was very uncomfortable from all of it. But yeah, I like the trailer trash dynamics because it felt very like how I imagine like Middle Ages France actually was. Like I know it's coming out of the Middle Ages, like, they're approaching the guillotines really quickly. But yeah, it felt like what it might have actually been like. Like everyone thinks of the French aristocracy as like these high and mighty, like pretentious people, but I'm like, no, it would probably be like this. Okay, and the other thing too is everyone on Twitter is complaining about the wigs. I didn't mind the wigs. Like I honestly didn't notice them. Maybe it's because like I'm no longer really that involved in like the RuPaul cinematic universe, the Drag Race industrial complex. Which joke did you like better? Let me know in the comments. The wigs didn't bother me. I think people are just a little nitpicky because yeah, it wasn't that bad. Okay, and another thing people on Twitter keep criticizing is Gabriella's accent, but I think it's good. Like, because it's not like a traditional Italian accent, because, like, she's an Italian woman living in France, speaking English. So it's going to be kind of wonky. It's like the same thing with, like, Julia, oh, what's her name? Julia, Julia Child? No, not Julia Child. The girl that played Anna Delvey in that series. Like the accent was perfect. And yeah, it sounds weird because like it's a weird accent. Like it no one speaks that way. And it's the same thing I kind of feel like with Gabriella. The accent that she was raised with was in the 16th century, and we probably don't know what that would have sounded like. Right? Like we didn't have recording devices. Like we don't know how they talked because accents change over time. So I think the accent's good. I don't know. I don't know like that many Italian people, to be honest. So that might have something to do with it. But I think the accent's good. I think she is a phenomenal actress. I mean, the emotional depth she was giving in these like dinner lunch scenes was great. Was great. Like her screaming at the family was so cathartic. Like, oh my god, you could just feel the tension building up, and like her releasing it, I thought was amazing. Yeah, no, I loved it. And then her going back to reading immediately, I was like, okay, mother, literally. Another thing I noticed was the brother with black hair being like, "Are you a good boy, Lestat?" And then Lestat in the previous episode during Black Licorice, one of the lyrics is "I've been a bad boy," and I'm like, "Oh, that's a cool callback." Another callback they made, which I thought was cool, was the priest monk person talking to the dad, and they're like, "What is he going to learn?" And he says he is going to learn Aristotle, Erasmus, and Aquinas. Aquinas. Again, I went to public school. I don't know. That is literally like verbatim what Lestat talks about in season one, episode one, when he's at the dinner party with Louis' family. And I was like, that's a cool callback. A few people were like upset that like they didn't show the time in the monastery, but I'm like, I think we got the point. Like, yeah, it would have been nice, but like it wasn't really necessary. Like we knew what happened, like from the first episode of season one. He talks about it. So it's kind of like show don't tell, you know. But yeah, I thought it was fine. You know, we didn't need to see it. Would it have been nice? Sure, but like it wasn't too necessary. Like I think we all got the point. Another thing they didn't show is Lestat joining the traveling theater troupe, and I get why they didn't do it. Would it have been cool? Yeah. I mean, it was like such an amazing moment in the book. It was like one of my favorite moments in the book, filled with like a lot of favorite moments. I understand why they're not doing it, right? Like we are about to see him go back to the theater. So it would have been overkill to do two theater theater adjacent, like him learning his passion for acting. Like if they were to show both of it, it would have lessened what I'm assuming they're about to show with him joining the Frate de Vampire. I feel like this whole flashback could have been an entire episode, and maybe if they had more breathing room and more space in the episode order, they could have done it. But, you know, with the constraints they've had placed with like the episode run and the budget, I get why they didn't do it, and I thought they handled it the best they could have. I don't know how necessary it is. Also, it does feel like Lestat's kind of like, let's move past the childhood. I don't want to talk about the childhood. Obviously, I don't want to talk about the childhood. Because, yeah, you know, he was a stutterer. It was traumatizing. Him being a stutterer, also, I'm like, that makes so much sense for his character. He's so charming and he's so. But it's one of those things where it's like, charming people, I don't feel like have always been charming. Like, most of them, I feel like, weren't that way in childhood and had to develop that skill to like compensate versus like you know those people that have like clearly been like beautiful their entire lives, like they don't have a personality most of the times. So it makes sense that where it's like he was kind of the ugly duckling of the family, which is so funny because then it's like when he's older he's like the most beautiful man I've ever seen and the rest of the family look like gremlins. I think the stuttering and all of that, it makes so much sense for his character. But that hole in his self esteem that he had since childhood. He can never really fill. Um, and that feeling like an outsider, I think, you know, he's doing so much of this to compensate for that. So I thought, you know, that was really well done. And I don't remember him being like a stutterer in the book. So I think that's something they're doing here, which I think is really, really interesting. But yeah, no, I get why the flashback was so short. Do I wish it could have been the full episode? Maybe. But yeah, I get it. So I'm not gonna nitpick it too much. Like, you know, they did the best with what they had. What I am gonna nitpick though is the wolves. Let's talk about the wolves. So the wolves is such a major part in the book. It's the whole reason Magnus chooses him is because he killed like the 8 wolves. I think it was 8. I thought they did well with like Gabriella sending him out to kill the wolves. Like, I thought the lead up was good, but then the scene was so quick. And I'm like, it could have been so cool. Like, if they had more breathing room with it and really, like, built up the tension and, like, made us feel like we were on a hunt, and then eventually Lestat is feeling like he's the one actually being hunted, that would have been cool. That would have been really cool. I really would have liked that. But yeah, I was kind of just like here and there. And I get, again, I get why they did it. Like the CGI on that alone would be crazy expensive, or they'd have to hire real wolves, which like they do. People do that in Hollywood. You can get like dogs that look like wolves, or like wolves that are like have been trained and like domesticated. That's a thing that's done. So it wouldn't have been impossible to make it look good, but again, this is a TV show, and you have to work with what you have. The thing I will say though, and this is such a nitpick, but like I don't understand why they didn't set it in winter, right? Like in the book, it's the dead of winter. I'm like, they need. Why was it summer? Why was it summer? Why? Why was it summer? Because like it would have been so cool. Like think of like the castle grounds and the forest all snowy. It would have felt so gothic. It would have felt so classic. It would have made more sense why the peasants were like up in arms about it too, because like it's the dead of winter. They don't have food. The wolves keep killing their livestock and their children potentially. But setting it in summer, it lost a little bit of that like je ne sais quoi it would have had if it was set in winter. Um, Again, I get why they do it, scheduling constraints, whatever. But yeah, it should have been set in winter. And again, they should have built up the tension a little bit more. It was just very like here, there, done. Like wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Um, and I get why they're doing it. Like again, it's focusing on establishing Lestat and Gabriella's relationship. So maybe we'll see more of it in later seasons, but it's kind of like, well, we got the point now, so there's really no reason. I do wonder if my reading of the books is impacting my enjoyment of the show. I didn't read the books before seeing the first two seasons. I'd only seen the movie. And the movie's good. It's a good adaptation, but it's not like the show's just so good. Good, good, good. Um yeah, I didn't read the books before the first two seasons, and I did in preparation for this season. And I'm wondering if that's impacting my enjoyment of the show. Because you kind of have this idea in your mind of like what it's supposed to be. And the first two seasons were so different from the books, but like so true at the same way. Like all the changes they made fit so well and work so well. And with this, I think my reading of the books might be like kind of clouding how I'm seeing the season. So if you haven't read the books, like sound off in the comments. What are you thinking of the season? Because I do think The Vampire Lestat was like Anne Rice's best book of the trilogy. And, her prose is beautiful. And it really it had room to breathe that I don't feel like this season is having right now. Like the book had time to kind of ponder and spend time in scenes that this is kind of like steamrolling through. Not steamrolling, that's not the right term, but it's kind of it's very quick paced versus the books where it kind of meandered and lingered, which is beautiful and very like fitting for the character because he has all the time in the world. He's an immortal. Yeah, so I don't know. I wonder if like reading the book is like clouding how I'm like shading how I'm feeling about this season. So that's something to keep in mind and something that hit me while watching this episode. Speaking of Gabriella and Lestat's relationship. So Sam and Jennifer, the two actors playing Lestat and Gabriella, respectively, they have such good chemistry together. Like they are really knocking it out of the park. Like the chemistry, it's weird and it's tense, but there's like aspects of love, if you could call it that. But they're also like they mirror each other in such interesting ways. Like the acting is phenomenal between the two of them and the two of them in general and the whole show in general. The acting is very good. And they have such good chemistry where it's sort of like you almost want to forget that it's you kind of want to forget because like I like seeing them on screen together, but then it just you just get reminded and it's so uncomfortable. Oh my god, the scene with her like fixing up his wounds, like gagged me with a spoon. That was so uncomfortable. And it was smart for her to like, show the wounds, like show that they're not trying to make this like sexy and like I I don't know. Like with the material they had to show it subtextually what's happening while she's like, he's covered in blood and everything, but like not like blood like, in the rest of the show, but like wounds. That was a smart choice. Yeah. I think they're handling this really well where it's like they're exploring it without like explicitly like condoning it, obviously. But yeah, it was very uncomfortable. I felt like that poor like handmaiden, like just like, ooh, what the hell? What the hell is going on this here day? I also liked that they used Anne Rice's words like verbatim for Gabriella's monologue while she's like fixing the wounds. And then Lestat like crying for her to come back. I mean, that's their relationship, like in general, right? Like she gives him attention and then leaves, and then he wants it so badly. So here's a question, controversial question I'm raising to the class. Do we think like Lestat, part of the reason why he fell in love with Louis is because like he almost reminds him of Gabriella? I don't know. That's why I'm asking it. The parallels between like Louis and Gabriella reading and like fully ignoring Lestat, the parallels between like giving them attention and then Lestat gets really hurt and then they just like ignore him completely and flip off to wherever. It almost feels like he likes the distance, right? Like we all want what we can't have, right? Like someone's obsessed with you and it's kind of like off putting, but then you meet someone and it's like they want nothing to do with you and you're like, oh, that's hot. Like, yeah, I feel like that is almost like the crux of his relationship issues is like he wants what he can't have. He wants emotional distance. He wants someone that's never going to love him the way he loves them, right? Like that's what he says when he drops Louis from the 2,000 feet in the air. He says like, I think it was like, Louis, just tell me like you'll never love me the way I love you. And that also is the same with Gabriella. Same with Gabriella. I think the show is so interesting in like these like psychological profiles of the characters because it's like they keep repeating the same cycles over and over, but because they're immortal, the cycles span decades. But yeah, Gabriella ignoring him every time he gets like seriously like hurt and injured, it's like I feel like that is the addiction for him. Like that's what he craves is like to be ignored and then something bad happens, then they come back. But yeah, the psychological profiles are super interesting. And one of the major themes in the book, and I'm assuming like we're going to get there in this season as well, is like that people don't really change, right? Like all these characters live forever, but they're like still the same people. The immortality just brings out like what's innately inside them, right? Like the dark impulses all of us have, Jung talks about it like the shadow self. It's there in all of us, but because they are vampires and they are immortal, it comes out. But still, like, the cycle continues, right? Like, time is a flat circle and all of that. So it's like they're almost like repeating the same mistakes over and over again, but because they are immortal, they can't learn because there's no consequences, right? Like, no one dies. And when they do, it's such a major blow to them and it's so impactful because like they weren't expecting to die versus like normal everyday people like we could everyone could die at any minute. So yeah, I think that's the really interesting thing is like these cycles play out over decades. because they have unlimited time. And speaking of the shadow self, that's the other thing I think we have to talk about. I think part of the thing is too is like I don't think Gabriella and Lestat would have done this if they were still mortal and human, but because they are immortal and they already like eat people, it's kind of like, well, you already crossed that line, so might as well cross all of them, right? Right, because I feel like after a while, like things would get boring, and it's kind of like, well, how much farther can I push this? So yeah, I don't think Gabriella and Lestat would have ever done this if they were both human, but because they're vampires and they don't believe in hell anymore. So it's like you kind of have to find your own new morality. And how do you find your morality? I mean, we all do this. It's by pushing the line. And in terms of morality, I feel like killing and eating people is, I'm not going to say worse. Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm not a philosopher. Like, right, but like even Louis talks about it, like, the degrees of evil. Like, is it one evil act that makes you like evil permanently, or is there like a spectrum of it? And what Lestat and Gabriella are doing is like evil and wrong and all of that, obviously. And I'm really glad the show is not making this like, it doesn't feel romantic or like, it feels like, oh, these are two like deeply troubled individuals. Like it's nice that they're not condoning it. But with that being said, yeah, I feel like, if you lived forever, you would start to kind of push the boundaries. And, the boundaries are there for a good, very, very good reason. So, yeah, the show's going a lot farther than the books ever did, too. Like, it was kind of there. It was there in the books, but it was more like a flavor rather than like the main course. So, yeah, it's interesting that they're really like focusing in and honing in on this. Yeah, I want to see the full season before I comment anymore about that. But yeah, it's a really interesting psychological look at Lestat, and that is something I'm really appreciating about this season. Okay, and before we move on from the flashbacks, I do want to say even further emphasize Sam Reed is doing so good. So good. I mean, you have this larger than life character, like a showman, right? Like someone protecting himself with like five layers of like irony and charm and all of these things, and then you see these like moments of complete vulnerability, and it's really well done. He's really killing it. Because okay, a lot of the times in in drama, right, you either have a funny character or you have a dramatic character, or you kind of have both, but it's like, they're funny in like a dry way, but they don't have like those like moments of like melodrama, right? So him having to balance both comedy and like complete vulnerability and like heartbreaking drama in the same character is very challenging, and he's nailing it. He's doing so well. And like to play a narcissistic character but also play him human and not like just a crazy monster that kills and eats people. Sam Reed's such a good actor. Such a good actor. And the moments of vulnerability I think like really like hit you, because the rest of it, it's like you can tell like he's putting on a front, and then you see like behind the mask, and it's like just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant actor. He deserves an Emmy. He deserves an Oscar. He deserves a Tony and eventually a Grammy. Hell yeah. Yeah, I want Sam Reed to be the next EGOT. Saying it here, saying it now. If there is a EGOT give it to Sam, please. Okay, moving on. So then they get to the bus. Claire is fun. I I like Claire. Her yelling at the band is great. It's ridiculous, but unfortunately, it is accurate. I know those types of people in Hollywood. I worked in the film industry, and I have stories about people just like that, but I'm not going to say them, at least not here. It's like that like supreme level of confidence, but then all of her like reads and digs and like histrionics are all just kind of lame and corny. Like none of it was witty, and I think that wasn't like on the writer. Like I think the writers did that on purpose, because like that is this type of person. You know, they're so oh, I'm a boss, I'm a boss, but like they don't have anything to back it up. And I'm not saying she doesn't. Like I'm 100% sure she's like good at her job, but like, calling someone a cocaine horror bucket YouTube. Uh yeah, no, it's not witty, it's not clever, but it works. Like that is what this character would say. Salamander's growing on me. I was not expecting that. I thought Salamander was just going to be like a throwaway character, like he's just kind of there, like token, like straight man. And I mean straight man in the way of like in comedy, like the straight man, like when they're reading through the books and he keeps asking about Armand, loved it. Him revealing he wanted to sleep with Lestat, loved that. Yeah, any other Salamander stands in the audience? Sound off down below in the comments. Please, please like and subscribe as well. I don't want to get another real job. Yeah, Larry had an interesting moment. TC, I'm so glad TC is getting more time. Like, she was an underexplored character in the book, but I was like, I want to see more Tough Cookie. That was her name in the book, and they changed it to TC in this. TC calling Louis Lewis. I thought that was really funny. Lestat freaking out and like screaming like it's Louis, not Lewis. Great. So then the band arguing and fighting. I was like, that's a cool mirror the writers did of like Lestat's family arguing and fighting. I think that's just like Lestat and Gabrielle's relationship to like mortals in general. Lestat and Gabrielle are just kind of like above it. Yeah, the cabbages, right? It's interesting that it's sort of that also is a cycle of like bickering and fighting and just those two like making goo goo eyes at each other and like rolling their eyes. Okay, so then Alex gets pissed off because like he's working with an actual vampire and leaves. I'm wondering if Lestat sees a little bit of Nikki and Alex. Because he keeps mentioning how good of a musician Alex is, and that was this whole thing about Nikki. Like Nikki was like the best musician he's ever seen, and he keeps mentioning that with Alex. And I'm like, oh, is he gonna turn Alex? Like people are predicting he'll turn Larry, but I'm like, no, he'll turn Alex. I think. Yeah, I wonder if he sees Nikki in Alex. And again, goes back to my theory. What he wants is like people that are emotionally distant and like aren't giving him what he needs, and it makes him like need it more. Yeah, Daniel coming in and being like, yeah, I'm an out and proud vampire, and like supports my theory that he's a little bit gay. Like even if he's not gay, soul of a gay man, fully, fully. Like, it's a state of mind. But yeah, no, I think like all vampires are at least like bi, maybe. Like if you could live forever, like I'm sure why wouldn't you? Also him flirting with Gabrielle. Sorry, I keep saying Gabrielle, but it's a hard change for me to make. Gabriella. Him flirting with Gabriella, I was just like King, he has game. Well, in the first half of the episode, we'll dive in, when we get there. Also, him being like, I have the blood in Akasha in me, so you guys are fine. And everyone's like, who the hell is Akasha? Like, what the hell are you talking about? That's a funny bit. And I'm sure that's how everyone who hasn't read the books is feeling right now. Like, what is an Akasha? You'll find out. So then we see Lestat and Gabriella's, like, date. Feels disgusting saying that. But that's what it was, right? Like, they were on a date, like hanging out. So it's funny that they go to like a modern day broth well YouTube. Um they go to the club. It is interesting too because it's like that's how he met Louis was in uh a night club, if you get my drift. But like 1910s New Orleans, like even when it was seedy, it was still so classy and elegant and extravagant. And the one they go to in this one, it's so like now. Like, Louis had beautiful wallpaper everywhere and decorative, everything. And it was like chaise lounges. And the one they go to in 2026 is tinsel and poles. Like the club they go to now is so garish in comparison, but it's like we're living in a garish age. Nothing is beautiful anymore. And that is, I think, one of the things that it's like why I love season one and season two so much is like it was escapism. It was so different from our current age, and it was like you got transported somewhere that was so different from like day-to-day life, like 1940s Paris and like 1910s New Orleans. Like I wasn't there, but it's like it took you someplace. And the Vampire Lestat in season three, it's taking us to now, this day and age, and I think that's why like I'm not as in love with it immediately as I was with the first two seasons. Like from the get go, immediately I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like it. The set design, costume design, all of it. It took you someplace. And this, it's taking us to like where we all live, like Toledo. But yeah, no, I think I liked the previous seasons because like they were set in the past. Like it is so much easier to romanticize the past versus this. I don't know. There's something interesting about like the age we're living in where everyone feels nostalgic for like periods they never lived in. And Midnight in Paris, like, that's always been a theme with like artistes. Right now it feels like it's everyone that's sort of wanting to live in another age, which is, obviously understandable. And I think season 3 is kind of confronting us with that fact. And yeah, I think that's why I'm like not as like over the moon about this season as I was about like the previous two. And that's something I have to deal with. Okay, so they're at the club, and Gabriella, everything with the ping pong balls. Oh my god, all of that. It's like okay, okay, Harmony Korine, like Spring Breakers, like it. I don't know. I didn't love it. It just felt like a guy who's like 20 in film school, like trying to be like shocking and like I don't know. I don't know. I I was rolling my eyes a little bit with like it in her hands. But yeah, I don't know. Like I guess Gen Z wants like indie sleaze back, so here it is. It's fondling to ping pong balls. That's indie sleaze. That's what it was like. I don't know. I wasn't there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the nice thing is like Jennifer in her interpretation of Gabriella, it works for the character. Like it doesn't feel like out of place for Gabriella to do that. But yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of like while they're at the club, Gabriella also mentions the Great Conversion. Um, and I have to wonder, does everyone know about the Great Conversion except for like Lestat and Louis? Like, is this a repeat of like the lead up to the trial all over again? Like, is everyone on the same page except for like these two fools? Because like everyone seems to know what they're talking about except for like Lestat and Louis, and they're just like, oh, whatever. And I'm like, oh my god, did you not pay attention like what happened the last time when you're not like operating with all of your senses? Guys, get a grip. Oh yeah, but the Great Conversion. Theory time. Like, what if Gabriella is the mastermind behind the Great Conversion and Lestat has to kill her, but he can't do it like Louis couldn't kill Lestat? No, that's probably not going to happen. That's not in the books. But yeah, that's my theory, at least right now. Okay, so then Lestat goes to the lawyer meeting with Louis. Is Claire a vampire? Like the lawyer lady, is she a vampire? Or is she just like chill with all of this? Like, is that just how lawyers are, that they're fine with like literal blood sucking monsters? Because that feels like a, yeah, that feels accurate. Okay, also, Louis owning a vampire themed hotel was also a nice touch. Like, I think yeah, it makes so much sense that they all owned like things themed to vampires, but especially now where it's like, because no one could go to like the cops and be like, the vampire hotel is actually owned by actual vampires, because like everyone would be like, okay, yeah, sure. So that's a fun detail. However, that person that would be like the vampire hotels owned by actual vampires in this day and age would unfortunately get an audience right here on YouTube. Like shit, he'd probably be invited to the White House. But yeah, with that being said, like I was also confused. I'm like, wait, how are they just like excusing all these like dead bodies? Like, wouldn't someone be interested? But then I remembered, oh no, wait, no, he only killed vampires, and they've all been dead for at least like years. So you know, at first I was gonna be like cinema sins, like plot hole, like what? But then it's like, no, wait, no, that actually makes sense. The writers are very intelligent, very intelligent. Yeah, you outsmarted me again. Darn you. Oh, and then Louis says, like, it sounds like a cry for help. Yeah, Louis, you're projecting. You're projecting onto Lestat. Girl, can you just say what you mean? Like, just be honest. Like, oh my God. Like, get over. Just say how you're feeling. Like, stop trying to, like, push and prod him, Louis. Like, that was Louis's whole thing is, like, kind of, like, poking and prodding in Lestat until he gets a reaction. Like, and he's doing it again, right? Like, calling him in, calling the lawyers in. Louis, oh my God. You don't have to do all this. Louis, just get a grip. Louis, 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 what are you doing, man? You want to get back together, you both do, but you have to let go of your pride, both of you. Both of you, Louis and Lestat, you have to let go of your pride or it's not going to work. So just like get over your own egos already. Like it's time. Louis, Louis, buddy, what are you doing? Also, I'm so on Lestat's side in regards to Armand. When Lestat says, Santiago, I could understand. He had stage presence, but boring Armand, like, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And again, this is not a criticism of Assad. He's doing great, killed the role. And the character is so necessary for the story. But yeah, Armand's boring. Sorry. If this is like Team Edward or Team Jacob, like I'm fully on Team Lestat, whatever. I feel like, yeah, you know what? Lestat is the Edward and Armand is the Jacob. There. I said it. I said it. Come for me in the comments if you want to, but that is the truth. And if you were not Team Edward, I don't know what to say. Don't know what to say. Also, I loved the moment too. I don't know if like you guys saw this, but like Louis and Lestat were like going at each other, and Claire's just sitting there so uncomfortable. Yeah, like so uncomfortable watching these two queens like bicker at each other. And I'm like, oh, that must have been how Claudia felt. Okay, so then we go from there. He gives Louis a ticket to the show. Louis goes to the show. I'm liking the music this season. It's like the music's good, I think. There is a thing, unfortunately, where when you write songs for like TV, it's like Chekhov's gun, right? Like when you establish this song is so good, everyone loves it, then you have to like actually write a song that like is so good and everyone loves. That is a challenge. It's like Daisy Jones and the Six, right? Where it's like, oh, this is the most amazing song I've ever heard. The hard thing is kind of living up to that expectation versus like just releasing music normally where it's like you release it and then the world does with it what it does. When you have to establish like what the world does with the music, it's hard to live up to those expectations of like this is the greatest song I've ever heard, it changed the world, and then you actually have to show the song. That's hard. So I think they're doing okay with that challenge. You know what I am excited though? I am excited to see the album like when it's complete and just like listen through the album from like side A to side B. That's gonna be fun. I hope they release it on vinyl. I'd buy a copy. Yeah, the music I think is good. I listen in my car sometimes. Like it's fun, it's good. I'm not like a musician or a lyricist, so I can't like comment really on that. What I will say is like none of the songs have like blown me out of the water. This one was the closest so far. It was cheesy, but I did like the moment of like time slowing down and he like flies up to Louis. Yeah, again, it's cheesy, but like I'm kind of a sucker for it. I liked it. And handing Louis the book. Um, is it good? I don't know, but it was fun. Um, yeah, and again, he's so good on stage. Sam is so good on stage. Okay, so as Lestat is like flying to Louis, Gabrielle is like shooting daggers at him. And I'm like, oh my god, are we going to see like a grand showdown between like Louis and Gabriella? Like, is that like what the climax is going to be? Like, they have to fight each other? Theory time. Yeah, they might have to fight each other. And who would Lestat save? I don't know. It would be Louis. But I don't know. But it would be Louis. But yeah, also the acting is so good because it's like you can't tell if it's like is it her being protective because like she knows how much Louis hurt him? Is it her being jealous? Is it a combination of both? Like the acting with Gabriella, like Jennifer is doing so good, just killing it. Great actress. Also, Daniel, what are you doing? Why do you keep focusing on Louis? Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Daniel, haven't you done enough damage already? And now you're zooming in on Louis, the one man that like doesn't want to be seen? Daniel, Daniel, do better, Daniel Malloy. I'm rooting for you. I am rooting for you. And you need to be better. You need to be a better friend to Louis because this is not what a friend would do. This is not what a friend would do. I guess he wants his Oscar. Okay, and speaking of Daniel, we see Daniel and Louis meet up in the bar. Um, Daniel mentions the rapture. And Lestat also mentioned the rapture in the last episode in Detroit when all the power goes off. And I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. Maybe that's how Akasha is like doing this, like, spoiler. Maybe that's how Akasha is doing like this into the world, like kill all men thing. Maybe instead of like making the women go mad, she's like just rapturing them. Because that would be new and fresh and interesting and like cheaper than having all the women of the world kill their sons and spouses. Okay, that's another thing. Sorry. This is like tangentially unrelated. Again, if you haven't read the books, skip 20 seconds. When Anne Rice was writing Queen of the Damned, was that like a reaction to like third wave, no, second wave feminism? Because it felt very like 80s backlash against like the 70s feminism. I'd be interested to read like what she was doing there and if there's like any feminist like theories on like making Akasha like the villain of the story want to kill men for world peace. I'm like, is this a greatest? I don't know. I'm not smart enough to say, but like, I am interested. Like, what do we think Anne Rice was doing there, and how do we think they're gonna like update that for the show? Sound off in the comments down below. It hit me in the scene that like Louis' naivete is so apparent. Like Louis never needed Daniel. He just needed a therapist, and Daniel would listen. And like Daniel's using it for his own ends, and it's like Louis, man, just get a therapist. Like, cause you a lot less trouble. Like, there's HIPAA laws and everything, even for a vampire. And then I thought, what if he did get a therapist, and then this show just turned into like The Sopranos, but with vampires? That would be kick ass. Not for this show, but like The Sopranos, but with vampires. I guess that's just the vertical short form vertical series, the shit they post on TikTok. Never mind, ignore me. Louis just needs someone to talk to. And Daniel, as much as I love him, is not that person. Well, no, I don't know, maybe. Like, Daniel does call Louis out on his bullshit and is unfiltered, which I do think Louis appreciates, and he wouldn't necessarily get from a therapist. Like, a therapist would be like, oh, I don't know, therapy talk. So Daniel being like no nonsense, I do think Louis appreciates, but it's like it's just so clear Louis just needs a friend. He really needs a friend. And Daniel's not being that friend because as soon as Louis gets vulnerable, you know what Daniel does? Daniel brings him the Talamasca. As soon as Louis was getting vulnerable, I was so mad. I was like, Daniel, who do you think you are? Because again, I love Daniel. He's one of my favorite characters, but Daniel, what are you doing, man? You don't even like the Talamasca. No one likes the fucking Talamasca. Daniel, you've gone Hollywood. You've gone full Hollywood, and I'm not here for it, Daniel. Not here for it. You are not being a good friend. And I'm just like, leave Louis alone. Leave him alone. He's going through a lot right now. And you bring in these fucking smarmy ass, Talamasca ass. Like, leave him alone, Daniel. Insert the clip of leave Brittany alone here. But yeah, Daniel, stop it. Stop it. Be better, Daniel. I love you, but be better. I know you can. You have it in you. But that's the thing. Repeating old patterns, repeating old patterns, repeating old patterns. Okay, if we're talking about the Talamasca, let's get into the Talamasca. Um, Raglan, I hate. You know, he was like such a non-character in season two, where it was like I didn't really have an opinion on him. Like he was good, the actor's good, it's good, it's fine. But this, I was like, oh, he's so smarmy. He is so smarmy, and like I don't know what this is, but he's so like not trying to be charming but not charming. And I don't know if it's a choice or if it's they're trying to write it. I'm going to believe it's a choice that they are trying to write like a character that wants to be charming but can't, like sort of the inverse of Lestat, which this might be a spoiler. Skip ahead 20 seconds if you don't want to be spoiled. Yeah, no, I read the plot synopsis for the fourth book on Wikipedia, and I was like, oh, wait, that actually would be so genius if the theories are true that they switch bodies, where Raglan wants to be charming but can't, and switches bodies with the most charming man in the world, Lestat. That would be interesting. Okay, spoilers over. And again, that's just a theory. Again, I haven't read the book, so I don't actually know what happens, just from what Wikipedia told me. Also, I just realized it's Raglan James and not James Raglan. Raglan James? No, it should be James Raglan. Like whatever. No, that's not this. Like, it's not the writers. It's Anne Rice. But I'm like, who's named Raglan? What the hell? Like, Raggedy Ann? Raggedy Ann. That's my new name for him, is Raggedy Ann. And then finally we see Lestat turning Gabriella. What happened with the rest of the family. I thought it was really interesting how they covered it up with like the idea of like it was a peasant revolt because of the time period. Um yeah, I don't know, it just that part felt kind of rushed. Like I don't know, we could have spent like a minute or two longer on that whole sequence and it would have been good. And I'm not saying it's bad. It, I wish it had more room to breathe. Like that was my thought on the episode, and we'll go into final thoughts. But my thought on the whole episode is like it just needed more room to like breathe and like let things marinate. Like the conversation between Louis and Daniel, I'm like, it could have been longer, and I would have been good with that. You know, like really dive in because I think the thing the first two seasons did really well is like it let things like kind of marinate and it didn't have to be as like point A to point B. It kind of like could breathe and take its time and like explore philosophical questions that don't necessarily go anywhere. You know, like and that's something I'm missing from the show and I think it is because like they only have 7 episodes instead of 8 or 9. And finally, my review. I am giving this 4 ping pong balls out of 5. Like, I liked a lot of the scenes, and there weren't any, like, glaring major issues with any of it. But yeah, the pacing, it was off. It needed more room to breathe. Like, it wasn't rushed per se. Like, they weren't running through it, but they were definitely, like, speed walking. And yeah, I feel like half of the episode could have just been like the memories and the flashbacks, and the other half could have been plot development. But I understand why they didn't do that. But yeah, I don't know. It needed more space. But yeah, I don't know. What did you think? Let me know down in the comments. And while you're down there, like and subscribe. And I will leave a link to my Instagram down below, as well as a link to the last video I did. If you didn't watch it, go ahead and watch it. It's good, I think. I don't know. Or just, press play and leave it on in the background while you do anything else. I don't care. But with that, cheers. Oh my god, how embarrassing. Did you guys see that? That was not intentional at all. Gabriella reminds me of like a less evil Tilda Swinton. Like, wait, is Tilda Swinton evil? Tilda Swinton's a very good actress, but she did bad things, right? She's a very good actress, though. She was amazing, and we need to talk about Kevin. But yeah, Gabriella, like Vampire Gabriella, reminds me of Tilda Swinton. Oh, that's another vampire movie, Only Lovers Left Alive with Tilda Swinton. I haven't seen it, but yeah, no, I don't know where I'm going with this.